Good morning and welcome to Let It Be Known on this Tuesday, August the 31st, 2021. The National Newspaper Publishers Association and Black Press of America brings you morning news headlines every weekday morning at this time. And thank you again for joining us as COVID-19 cases surge across the U.S., particularly among unvaccinated Americans. Hospitals have been pushed to their limits, treating the influx of patients, and 5 states are nearly out of ICU beds. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Florida, and Arkansas have less than 10% left for their ICU bed capacity, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. Data presented by a vaccine advisor from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showed a hospitalization rate 16 times greater in the unvaccinated population than in those vaccinated. Again, the National Newspaper Publishers Association encourages those who can to get vaccinated. It is certainly a health emergency, and particularly in communities that we serve, communities of color. Also in the news this morning, dozens of rescue missions were launched across southern Louisiana on Monday to evacuate people stranded in their homes after Hurricane Ida battered the coast and knocked out power to virtually all of New Orleans before cutting a dangerous path north. The powerful weather system, which weakened to a tropical storm, was one of the strongest hurricanes ever to make landfall in the region and killed at least one person outside of Baton Rouge. Major search and rescue operations to answer the hundreds of rescue calls have been hampered by inoperable 911 lines and poor cell phone service reported throughout southeastern Louisiana, including the heavily populated Orleans and Jefferson parishes. The Louisiana National Guard activated almost 5,000 Guard personnel and was positioned to dispatch some more, including 200 high water vehicles and more than 70 rescue boats and 30 helicopters to help in the search efforts. Meanwhile, 2 people were killed and 10 others injured after part of a highway washed away Monday night near the town of Lucedale, Mississippi. The incident occurred on the 2-lane Highway 26 in George County. The washout was likely related to rain from Hurricane Ida, according to local officials. Seven vehicles went into the hole created by the washout, and officials said the hole was about 50 feet in length and 20 feet deep. The full scope of the damage and flooding from Ida is still being assessed, as officials say it could take weeks to restore the power outages that have left more than 1 million without electricity. We have newspapers there, our partners there, the Data News Weekly and Louisiana Weekly as well. Our publishers, to this point, we know, and their staff are safe, and we're glad to say that some of them have gone over to Houston, Texas, where our chair, Karen Carter Richards, actually picked up one of our publishers from the airport the other day. Joining us now is the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacey Brown. And on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we thank you for giving us the headlines and the update on the hurricane damage as well as the other news. Shout out to all of our publishers in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Alabama, and other places where the storm is impacted. And of course, we thank Karen Carter Richards, our distinguished chair of the board, and all of the members of the board of directors and the 230 African-American owned newspapers. We just, we have to count our blessings, Stacey, as we move forward and continue to be the Black press of America.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Chavis, as I said, our hearts go out to all those in Louisiana and Mississippi as well, battered again. And that storm came on the anniversary of Katrina. So they have gone through so much there. I know that we have plans, Dr. Chavis, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, to hold our annual summer convention in New Orleans next summer. Let's hope that the state and the city, of course, recovers and they're able to host events like the NNPA's convention.
Absolutely. And, New Orleans is a special place in the heart of the NNPA. as well as other cities. And we're looking forward to 2022 being a year of progress. But, we got to go through the challenges of 2021, making sure that everybody stays safe during this pandemic, and also paying attention to climate change issues that causes these severe storms and weather conditions. And then we also have to deal with systemic racism. We have to deal with all of the challenges that continue to confront Black America, but we do it from a position of faith, a position of hope, and a position of self-determination, where we try to strengthen African American owned businesses, in this case, particularly the African American owned press, as we move forward. There's so many opportunities, despite all of these disparities. Stacey, there are a lot of opportunities that the African American community needs to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Chavis. And as you mentioned, that's the goal, is to continue to strengthen the Black press of America, the trusted voice in the Black community. And that's what we're going to continue to do, bring you news that matters to you and your loved ones. And that's what the Black press have done for 194 years. And our mission, Dr. Chavis, is quite simple, right? It is to continue to show that you can come to us to get real information, not fake news.
Absolutely. We're not only pleading our own cause, but we plead the cause of freedom, justice, and equality for African Americans, for people of African descent. But we actually plead the cause for freedom, justice, and America for all people, for all of humanity in the United States and throughout the world.
Yeah. And Dr. Chavis, here's a story I'm sure that touches you. As redemption stories go, this one should be set to music, though maybe not hip hop. Shyne Barrow. Y'all remember Shyne, that great young hip hop artist who sounded a lot like the great Biggie Smalls when he came out, and people said, wow, he was the heir to the throne. Well, Shyne has moved on from that. He's a diplomat now. When we last saw him in the U.S. in 2009, he was a convicted felon, just released after a 10-year prison sentence for his role in a Manhattan nightclub shooting involving big stars Puffy, P. Diddy, Jennifer Lopez. Puffy changes his name all the time, y'all. But Sean Combs. And we remember that so well, Dr. Chavis. It happened in New York. It was in the early 2000s. It was a shooting in a nightclub. Apparently, as the stories, as legends go, Puffy was disrespected in the club, and it turned into gunfire. And he and Jennifer Lopez were a couple at the time. They fled the club. Shyne Barrow allegedly had a gun and was charged along with Puffy Combs. If you remember, Dr. Chavis, it was Johnny Cochran who defended Sean Puffy Combs, and Sean Combs was acquitted, but Shyne Barrow was convicted. He was a once rising star on the Bad Boy music label, but he was deported to his native Belize, a Caribbean country on the Central American coast, and many thought never to be heard from again. But Shyne, who grew up in Brooklyn, is back. It turned out that despite his blossoming American rap career, Belize was where Shyne was destined to shine. Following in the political footsteps of his parents, Shyne became an elected member of Belize's parliament and leader of the opposition, for which he headlined a mission to the U.S. this month to improve relationships between the two countries. Shyne says, I'm officially on duty now. He says, I'm very focused on making connections that will benefit Belize in the immediate and long term. He said he is focused on boosting tourism and on improving the lives of marginalized and disenfranchised youth who have been condemned. So he's an ambassador now. He is in politics, and apparently he's doing very well, Dr. Chavis.
Well, we wish him well. And again, I thought the people of Belize were very wise to pick Shyne to be a leader, a diplomat, and we wish him well.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of music, Congo Square is a small patch of ground located in New Orleans, measuring less than 3 acres. It is just north of the French Quarter, across Rampart Street, and is one corner of the larger Louis Armstrong Park. It has none of the trappings of the multi-thousand capacity concert halls and stadiums around the contemporary world, but at its heart, it is a music venue. It is perhaps the most important venue in the development of what is American music today, and in turn, of popular music around the globe. David Wilfong of the North Dallas Gazette writes about Congo Square as the most overlooked but historically rich music venues in America. In the piece that you can read at the North Dallas Gazette and at blackpressusa.com, David journeys back to the origins of the venue where in this location, I should say, slaves were able to revive their music traditions from Africa. It's a story that you're only going to read in the Black Press of America. It's a great story, Dr. Tavis. We encourage everyone to go check out this great piece by David Wilfong of the North Dallas Gazette.
Well, I think Congo Square is appropriately named. Historic venue, legends of musicians have performed there and get their insights, get their inspirations there. And of course, one of the blessings I've had, I've actually visited the Congo in Africa, and the beats, the sounds between what's happening in New Orleans and what's happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and places like Kinshasa or Lubumbashi resonate very well to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just a great article. And again, this is the Black Press of America, and that's the only place you could see articles like that, articles that matter. It's really great to go back, Dr. Chavis. You and I have been working on a book on the transatlantic slave trade for the last couple of years. It's interesting when we go back into our history and see what we really have accomplished, Dr. Chavis, despite so much oppression.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, before Louisiana became a part of the United States, colonized by the French. And the Congo was colonized by Belgium, which was French-speaking. And it's interesting, not only the cuisine impacted from African influence, but the language, the interfusion of music, like at Congo Square that you mentioned. I just think that we got to finish that book, Stacy. We should try to wrap that up this year. And I think the Black Press, as I move around all of our publishers, there's so many books that we got to get written about the Black Press in America.
Yes.
Its origin. A lot of our member publications are family on. Each of those publications have a legacy, a genealogy, and a book that needs to be written. So we not only got to continue to publish in our newspapers, we got to continue to get into the digital space, but we also have to get into the book publishing space to protect the legacy and the traditions of the Black press, not only of America, but the Black press of the world.
Yeah, and our publisher down in Tennessee, Rosetta Perry, she a few years ago, wrote a book about the publishers of the Black press, and she remains such a staunch advocate of the Black press, and really one of the cornerstones of the Black press. Rosetta Perry, we always salute Rosetta Perry and the job she does down in Tennessee and Nashville, to be specific.
Rosetta just opened up 2 Tennessee Tribune stores at the Nashville International Airport. So if we ever go through Nashville, if you don't have time to leave the airport, make sure you go by the Tennessee Tribune store at the Nashville International Airport.
Yeah, and for those watching, we were anticipating having Dr. Calvin Mackie of STEM NOLA. Obviously, he's based in New Orleans, and the storm apparently has changed those plans. We hope. We didn't hear from Dr. Mackie this morning, but we certainly hope that all is well, that he is not adversely affected by this situation there, he and his staff. We're certainly hoping for the best. In the meantime, though, we'll be happy to take any questions our audience may have regarding the STEM field, which is what Dr. Mackie was going to highlight this morning. So Dr. Chavis and I will do our best to fill in for Dr. Mackie on those questions. And Dr. Chavis, one of the things I wanted to, since we have some time, I wanted to go back to, and people can read, we have 2 special articles planned today for Black Press USA. Dr. Chavis, you and I, the executive administrator of the NNPA, Claudette Perry, and others visited with the commissioner of the PGA Tour on Saturday, Jay Monahan, I should say, at the BMW Championships in Owens Mill, Maryland. And he had so much to say. A very great discussion we had with him. He was very candid, very open. A couple of the topics he talked about. One, we highlight in the article, Tiger Woods. We know Tiger Woods, at the turn of the century, he was the most dynamic golfer. In fact, in history, he changed the game, won 15 major championships, only second to Jack Nicklaus, who won 18 in his career. And we know Tiger's career, despite his injuries and setbacks, is not over yet. So we fully expect that sometime down the road, Tiger Woods will eventually break Jack Nicklaus's major record. But Tiger does hold the record for most PGA Tour victories. And we talked to him about the game of golf capitalizing, and in that instance, Dr. Chavis, not necessarily capitalizing on Tiger Woods' fame as it pertains to the Black and brown community. And he did admit, very honestly, yeah, we missed out. We missed the boat, but they're doing a lot of other things, Dr. Chavis, so they're not going to miss the boat anymore. Tell me, Dr. Chavis, what impressed you most about Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour?
Well, what impressed me most was his integrity, his honesty, and his forthrightness that the PGA Tour has a lot of work to do. But the good thing about it, he stated very clearly that as the leader, as the chair, as of the PGA Tour, the chairman of the PGA Tour, he intends to open it up. He talked affectionately about Tiger Woods, but he also talked about the importance of historically black colleges and universities. And today, the PGA Tour has set aside $100 million over the next 10 years to outreach, to get African Americans not only into the golf industry and to the golf professional sport, but all the auxiliary enterprises that be. So this article, exclusive interview that he gave to the Black press is very important. And I think I pointed it out, Stacey, that this was the first time a commissioner of one of the major sports in America has given an exclusive hour-long interview to the Black press of America. That has never happened before.
Yeah.
Whether it was in Major League Baseball, whether it was NFL or NBA. It's interesting that the PGA Tour did that on the eve of the 58th anniversary of the March on Washington last Saturday. So last Saturday and Friday. So the thing is, I think that we have to move forward and to make sure that now this strategic alliance between the NNPA and the PGA Tour opens up opportunities for advertising for our Black newspapers, for involvement of young student athletes, male and female, to get into golf. And, even in my senior citizen status, I plan to find somebody to teach me how to swing a couple golf clubs.
Well, and
down to places like Bobby Henry, where all those golf courses are in Florida, to try to see what's happening.
Yeah, and you make sure that you
Arizona, where Clovis Campbell is,
and make sure you dress the part. Bobby Henry and Clovis got the fancy pants tour down in Arizona, and Bobby he might put on a 3-piece suit and go out and golf. And so I don't know, Dr. Chambers, you might have to check in first before you agree to go out with them.
Well, thank you. But at the end of the day, it's nothing but business opportunities. And so we thank Jay Monahan for giving us the exclusive interview. And I would encourage everybody to go to blackpressusa.com, as well as the NNPA Newswire, for those who are publishers, to see these exclusive articles on the budding, growing, constructive, beneficial relationship between the PGA Tour and the NNPA.
Yeah, and another thing the commissioner highlighted, was the relationship that they have with HBCUs and the APGA. The APGA is really interesting too, because it really encourages young people of color to get into the game of golf. And the other thing that is pointed out, we don't always have to know how to play the game. We don't have to be a pro golfer. There are other opportunities. We met some very young African Americans at the golf course who were caddies, who were training in a program that they had as caddies. So there are opportunities in and around the game. There are pro shops everywhere in which there are, and these are not low-paying jobs. These are really good careers. So these are things that we really want to impress upon our viewers and our readers, that the game of golf is not like it was 50 years ago when they didn't welcome us. Now they are embracing the participation of people of color.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Chavis, something else is coming up that I know that's near and dear to your, and one of the things that, before I go to that, Claudette Perry is mentioning that a current project is the Evans Scholarship. It involves giving full ride scholarships to students for being caddies. And again, they are really, the PGA Tour is really opening up their arms and embracing individuals of color of all ages. So Dr. Chavis, yeah, get your clubs and go out on the senior tour.
Absolutely.
And another thing, Dr. Chavis, I know that's near and dear, that's coming up, is the National Newspaper Publicists Association Leadership Awards reception, which is September 16th. And again, everyone is free to register, and you can do so at virtualnmpa2021.com. Dr. Chavis, what are you expecting this year at the Leadership Awards, the National Leadership Awards?
Well, on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we're giving out awards to individuals that made a distinguished impact, that made a transformative impact in America and in the world. And, I would encourage everybody to register. It's a virtual event, and registration is free. And we say, well, why do you have to register? Because we want you to be added to our database so you can get daily news from the Black press of America. That's the purpose of registration, but there's no cost. It's on the 16th of September, and this is during the Congressional Black Caucus weekend, which is also going to be virtual this year because of COVID-19. We have some leading people that we're going to give awards to, including Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, as well as Senator Warnock from Georgia. As well as many others. Dr. Ebony Hilton, one of the members of the NNPA's Coronavirus Task Force, one of the leading physicians, Dr. James Hildreth at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, and who also plays a leading role with the FDA that determines which vaccines are approved by the FDA. So we have a long list, and then our sister who won all those Olympic medals, she will also get an award.
Allison Felix, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what was it, 10, 11 medals? She just really set the world on fire in Tokyo.
Other human being at an Olympics, yes.
Absolutely. I'll just briefly go back to golf. Bobby Henry mentions that we need to encourage, and this is something that I think Claudette Perry was talking about as well. We need to encourage more Black course designers to carry on the legacy of Joseph Howard Burbick. Yeah, and that came up in conversation too amongst the NNPA contingent. Bobby, we are all over it. Believe me, with Dr. Chavis and Claudette Perry and told, nothing is missed, nothing at all. So a lot of things were talked about. A lot of things were looked at. So we stay on top of it. The NNPA is continuing to, as Dr. Chavis said, evolve. The NNPA is continuing to move forward. And, as you say, Dr. Chavis, there's some player haters. So we know what we have to do to keep it moving, as it were. Dr. Chavis, any closing thoughts for today?
Well, I think we all should count our blessings. Life itself is a blessing, and there's no life without challenge. There's no life sometimes even without hardship or difficulty. But through all of what we have been through as a people, people of African descent. We are a blessed people, not a cursed people. And every day we should be thankful to the Creator for the blessings of life. On this day, we thank the Creator for blessing the Black press to have not just endured, but continue to rise to the occasion for 194 years, the Black press of America. And we're looking forward to the National Leadership Awards reception on September 16th, sponsored by the NMPA. And we thank all of our advertisers. We thank all of our corporate sponsors. We thank all of our publishers who are doing great work in every city throughout the United States. And we have a global impact. So I start this Tuesday morning off, Stacy, in a spirit of thanksgiving, in a spirit of hopefulness, and in a spirit of actually seeing the joy of our people making advancements. And one of the things we do, as you know, on Let It Be Known, we bring people who have achieved a success, particularly in areas that normally don't get media coverage. And I was just thinking about the sister we had on yesterday that talked about all the opportunities in the cyberspace and cybersecurity and what she's doing almost single-handedly to open up that particular vocation, particularly to African-American young people. So, we got to keep pushing forward, Stacy. I begin this day as I ended yesterday with a lot of hope, with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should also mention, we talked a little bit about the situation in Mississippi, and we also talked about the coronavirus, and our publishers, right? So Deanna Tisdale Johnson of the Jackson Advocate, she writes an article that you can, again, read about it at Black Press USA about Mississippi's failing health system. Check it out. It's a really in-depth piece, and she brings all of the facts as you come to expect in the Black press of America. So read that, Deanna Tisdale Johnson, who actually is going to be a guest on Let It Be Known this week. So we'll look forward to talking more with Deanna Tisdale on Thursday morning. She'll be a guest at 7:30 a.m. Tune in. We're going to talk more about Mississippi's failing health care system and, of course, the virus nationally. And remember, again, September 16th is the NMPA's National Leadership Awards reception. Virtual NMPA 2020.com is where 2021.com is where you can sign up, register, and it's free, totally free. Thanks again to Dr. Chavis, Karen Carter Richards, and the whole team at the National Newspaper Publicists Association. Let it be known. Remember this, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. We will see you tomorrow.